I spent 4 weeks trying to make the Bambu Lab A1 Mini my primary desktop 3D printer and realized something unexpected almost immediately. This machine completely shatters the barrier to entry from modern additive manufacturing, but there is one massive engineering constraint that makes this machine an absolute dream for casual hobbyists, but a complete dead end for anyone looking to scale into serious production or engineering-grade materials. I will explain exactly who should completely avoid this machine after we look at what it does right.
Design and build. First contact. Out of the box, the A1 Mini departs radically from the traditional black anodized aluminum frames that have dominated the budget printing market for a decade. It weighs exactly 12.1 pounds, making it remarkably easy to move around a workspace. The chassis relies heavily on high-grade polycarbonate elements wrapped around a robust cantilevered aluminum extrusion rail system. It lacks the fully enclosed industrial sheet metal feel of a Creality K1 SE, but criticizing the open-frame cantilever design entirely misses the point. By prioritizing premium linear rails and high-tolerance injection-molded plastics over a heavy metal box, the engineers delivered a remarkably rigid machine with a tiny physical footprint. The toolhead features an intuitive status LED and a custom quick-swap hotend mechanism that allows you to change nozzles in under 30 seconds without touching a single tool. Every cable is meticulously routed through integrated injection-molded clips, eliminating the messy ribbon cables that traditionally snag on moving components. Key features: performance versus hype.
The marketing copy promises plug-and-play perfection, and for the most part, the hardware delivers. The fully automatic bed leveling uses a load sensor in the toolhead that physically taps the textured PEI build plate to map out an incredibly precise mesh grid. I tested this with a challenging model consisting of a wide, single-layer geometric pattern that spanned the entire 180 by 180 millimeter printable area. On a standard budget machine, a print like this requires manual knob twisting and constant first-layer height tuning. The A1 Mini executed the mesh calibration in less than 3 minutes, laid down a flawless first layer with perfect adhesion across all 4 corners, and finished the job without a single blemish. This is where the machine earns its keep. The active vibration compensation works via an internal accelerometer that vibrates the X and Y axes prior to printing, calculating the precise resonance frequencies of the frame. In practice, this allows the machine to print at a blistering 500 millimeters per second, with an acceleration rate of 10,000 millimeters per second squared, without introducing ringing or ghosting artifacts along the outer walls of your models. I was printing a highly detailed mechanical gear set during a late-night work session. The printer sat right next to my workspace on a basic wooden desk. A budget machine from a few years ago would have shaken the entire desk and created an unbearable high-pitched motor whine. The A1 Mini adjusted its motor drivers dynamically, whispering along at under 48 decibels while maintaining razor-sharp geometric accuracy on the gear teeth. My colleague's older assembled printer completely missed a step during a similar high-speed run due to belt skipping, resulting in a bird's nest of ruined plastic. That is the engineering advantage in one moment.
Power management and thermal performance.
As a permanently wired desktop appliance, the machine manages power with impressive efficiency. Under peak load, while heating both the ceramic hot end to 220 degrees Celsius and the heat bed to 65 degrees Celsius, the printer draws approximately 150 watts from the wall. Once the target temperatures stabilize, the continuous power consumption drops down to a modest average of 45 watts. Thermal management on the toolhead is exceptionally robust. I conducted a continuous 24-hour stress test, printing a large architectural layout using standard polylactic acid filament. The internal cooling fan maintained a steady flow of ambient air across the heat break, keeping the cold end of the extruder perfectly isolated. Even in a room resting at 75 degrees Fahrenheit with minimal airflow, the toolhead never suffered from heat creep or premature filament softening. However, the heated bed meets its physical limit at exactly 80 degrees Celsius. While this is perfectly adequate for basic filaments, the lower temperature limit combined with the open frame design means the machine experiences severe thermal throttling if you attempt to print demanding engineering materials that require high ambient temperatures to prevent warping.
Ecosystem integration and long-term value. This is where the conversation around long-term value gets interesting. The printer relies heavily on the Bambu Studio slicing software and the handy mobile application. The software integration is incredibly polished, allowing you to send files over local wireless networks, monitor progress via the built-in low frame rate camera, and receive push notifications if a print finishes or fails. The filament ecosystem. The machine utilizes an optional automatic material system lifestyle unit that feeds up to 4 distinct spools of filament for multicolor printing. The system reads proprietary radio frequency identification tags built into official spools to automatically configure material profiles. You can absolutely use third-party filaments, but you lose the automated convenience, and standard cardboard spools from external brands tend to slip on the rolling mechanism without printed plastic rim adapters. Repairability and sourcing. From a repairability standpoint, the printer scores reasonably well, but relies heavily on first-party component sourcing. You cannot simply go to a local hobby shop and buy a generic nozzle or heating block. If you wear out a component, you must buy a replacement directly from the official store or authorized distributors. Thankfully, the prices are fair. A complete hotend assembly costs roughly $15, which is far cheaper than the complex multi-piece hotends found on legacy machines, where a snap-ridden cable or stripped thread could easily cost $40 and require an entire afternoon of soldering. 3-year cost projection. When projecting the total cost of ownership over a 3-year window, the math looks like this. Base machine investment, $249. Optional multi-material feeding unit, $180. Spare quick swap nozzle kit, $35. 2 replacement textured build plates, $40. Your initial investment easily scales from a basic budget purchase into a $504 ecosystem. Because there are no mandatory software subscriptions or paywalls for advanced features, the long-term cost remains entirely tied to your material consumption and mechanical wear parts. The competition battle. When I put the Bambu Lab A1 Mini against the Creality Ender 3 V3 KE, the trade-offs are crystal clear. The Creality Ender 3 V3 KE offers a larger 220 by 220 by 250 mm build volume and an open-source software environment running Clipper, which gives you absolute freedom to modify the physical frame, install third-party macro scripts, and source cheap generic replacement parts from dozens of independent manufacturers. However, the Bambu Lab A1 Mini wins on out-of-the-box reliability and sensor calibration consistency, and I found the automated resonance tuning and tension calibration vastly superior to Creality's setup wizard when trying to get a perfect print on the first try without spending hours reading community forums. You are essentially choosing between Creality's superior build volume with an open-source hacking philosophy and Bambu's superior out-of-the-box user experience with an appliance-like workflow. Unexpected strengths. What the manufacturer does not shout about in their mainstream marketing campaigns is the sheer sophistication of the tangle detection sensor built directly into the toolhead filament entry point. Most budget printers feature a simple runout sensor that checks if filament is present, but they are completely blind to bound spools or tangled lines. The A1 Mini uses a physical micro-switch lever that measures tension on the filament line itself. During my 3rd week of testing, I deliberately loaded a poorly wound spool of generic material that had a severe crossover knot. About 2 hours into a complex print, the knot caught, tightening the line. Instead of snapping the filament, grinding a flat spot into the drive gears, or ripping the toolhead off its tracks, the machine detected the sudden spike in line tension instantly. It paused the print, retracted the toolhead to a safe home position, and sounded an audible alert. I untied the knot, pressed resume, and the print finished flawlessly without a visible layer line. The success rate for salvaging bad spools honestly embarrasses much more expensive machinery. Limitations. The bitter truth. Here is the reality aggressive marketing campaigns will not tell you. The build volume restriction and the bed temperature limit constitute the massive engineering constraint I mentioned at the very start of this review. A build area of 180 millimeters cubed means that classic projects like full-scale wearable helmets, large mechanical enclosures, or expansive drone frames are physically impossible to print in one piece.
You are forced to cut models into multiple segments using software tools and glue them together post-print, which adds massive complexity and compromises structural integrity.
Furthermore, because the heated bed maxes out at 80 degrees Celsius and the printing area is completely exposed to room currents, you cannot print acrylonitrile butadiene styrene, commonly known as ABS, or advanced polycarbonate materials.
If you attempt to run these filaments, the layers will cool too quickly due to ambient drafts, causing the corners of your model to lift off the build plate and warp violently within the first 20 minutes. To circumvent this, you would need to build a custom external enclosure and source an aftermarket heated bed solution, which adds roughly $100 to your cost, introduces potential fire hazards, and completely defeats the purpose of buying an ultra-compact, finely tuned desktop machine in the first place.
The final verdict: buy or skip?
Buy this if you are a beginner or intermediate hobbyist who wants a reliable tool that works exactly like a kitchen appliance without requiring a deep background in mechanical engineering. You primarily print with polylactic acid or polyethylene terephthalic glycol to create miniatures, organizational organizers, brackets, or decorative models. You have limited desk real estate and value a quiet, clean workspace over maximum part size. Skip this if the 180mm build envelope is too restrictive for your manufacturing needs or forces you to compromise on your industrial design workflow. You need to print functional, high-strength parts using advanced engineering filaments that require enclosed heated chambers and high-temperature beds. You refuse to be locked into a proprietary ecosystem and prefer a fully open-source machine that you can upgrade, modify, and repair using generic global parts.